Hello, my friends. For this project, you're going to need some of the tissue paper that I gave you, or maybe all of the tissue paper, the white square of paper with the little half circle on it, okay? And we're going to start out by doing a tissue paper color transfer, okay? That's when you get the tissue paper and you put it on paper and you wet it. And when you do that after it dries, you get this like really cool color wash thing that sometimes unpredictable things happen, and I think that's part of the magic of it, like when the colors sort of blend together in ways that you had not anticipated. Then after that dries, so this is a 2-week project. The first week, we put the tissue paper on, we let it dry. The second week, we're going to add a mandala style drawing on it, okay? So if everyone uses the same size paper and they make their design inside that little quarter of a circle space, even though we can't always be together physically right now and maybe not next to each other, but maybe we can at least have our artwork together. We can put them together and they'll make full complete circles. Even though your designs will be different, they'll be the same size and they'll all fit together. It'll look really cool. So what you're gonna need at home that I have not given you is either a pen or a fine tip black Sharpie. Make sure it's a newish one that's kind of pointy and that's really juicy, okay? If you don't have a fine tip pen, a fine tip fine tipped Sharpie, sorry, I can't even talk. A plain black pen will be fine for this, okay? And so again, this is a 2-week assignment. Week 1, watercolor. Week 2, mandala. There's also going to be some videos attached that I want you to watch ahead of time that is gonna help you sort of get inspired as far as designs and shapes and lines. So have fun. So what I have right now, I have my tissue paper. Try not to get it wet just yet. I have my square of paper. Now I have a brush and a cup of clean water, okay? You can do this with a brush and a cup of clean water, or if you have a spray bottle just with water, plain old water is enough to do this. So I'm gonna take my tissue paper and I'm just gonna rip this into some smaller pieces. Not too small, we don't wanna have it be like microscopic little hunks of paper. This is all I need. And what I'm gonna do is first I'm gonna start by just gently adding a very small layer of water, just enough so that it's just wet, like not puddles. You don't wanna have puddles of water. And I also don't wanna rub it too many times, because if I rub it too much, it's gonna start to like get little like balls of paper. All right, so now I have this. I'm gonna overlap my papers just a tiny bit, not a huge ton. And I'm gonna start covering my entire paper, the whole thing, every piece on here somewhere. I don't wanna have any white showing, and I also don't wanna have my overlaps too much. Do you notice when I overlap, I'm just overlapping a tiny bit. Oops, you guys can't even see what I'm doing. There we go. I'm just overlapping a small bit on the edge there. Okay, when I put them down, I don't double it up. I'm gonna put a little bit more water because this is starting to dry out. I will say that a spray bottle might be the easiest way to do it, but it's definitely not the only way to do it. Even if you don't have a spray bottle or a paintbrush, you can get a sponge, a clean sponge from the kitchen sink, and you can use that. All right, so now I'm at the edge here, so I'm gonna put this piece there, and I just need a small piece here for this one, just a little bit, and again, just overlapping a teeny tiny bit. So now everything's a little bit damp. There are some spaces where I don't feel like it's touching, so I want to use my finger and just press it down. And if it looks like it's not sticking, because there's no water in that spot, you can just take a damp brush, notice my brush is not dripping, and I'm just gonna tap it lightly just to put a little bit of water on there. Not dripping. And I'm not wiping and rubbing, I'm just tapping it. I'm just lightly touching it, just to get a little bit of that water through the tissue, and it will make the color come out onto the paper. So I'm just making sure that everything is just slightly damp, not soaked, not drenched. I'm gonna get this edge over here with a little of this bright pink. And as far as how you lay out your colors, you can use whatever design you want. But I'm just lightly tapping. This here is a little dry. Just lightly tapping. This one here is a little dry. So after I've got all that, I'm gonna just move this aside somewhere safe where siblings aren't gonna get it, pets aren't gonna get it, mom's not gonna get it and accidentally throw it away. Find a safe place to put this where it can dry, okay? And I'll be back with step 2. Now I'm gonna show you how to do this with a spray bottle of water, okay? This is just an old cleaning solution bottle that it's been filled with water over and over again because you never know when you might need art water. So I've turned this thing to spray, and I'm gonna, well, hopefully it'll work. There we go. I'm gonna spray it. I'm gonna give it a second to soak in. And I'm gonna do the same thing I did before. I'm gonna place my little bits of tissue down on the paper. And if you have puddles of water, you might have problems. But you can put your tissue paper down any way you like, any design you want. But the spray bottle sort of feels like a faster way to do this. Either are correct. There's no one way to do this. All that matters is that this tissue gets wet and it makes its way onto the paper. So now I have them all laid out, and I'm gonna go and spray it one more time with a very light spray of water. And that's it. You'll notice that it goes, it like touches the paper. See, watch that there. All the water is getting absorbed by the tissue paper. Now this is gonna take a good hour or two. So if this is all you get done for today's class, that's fine. Next week we're gonna do something additional to this once it's dried. So check your layout first, make sure you're happy with what you have, and then either get a brush with water, a spray bottle with water, or even a sponge to just dab a little bit of water on the surface of your paper, and then put your tissue paper into it. And when this is done, I'm hoping it's gonna look awesome. Okay, so my work has had a chance to dry. I got both of them here, and when it dries, this stuff should just sort of fall right off. It shouldn't need to be peeled off. Well, maybe it might need to be peeled off a little bit. Oh, I know why this needs to be peeled off. That brush wasn't as clean as I thought it was. There might have been a little bit of glue on that paintbrush. That's why this one doesn't need to come off so much. You remember, this is the one that I did the brush with. So maybe my brush wasn't really super clean. But hey, you know, just another reason to make sure your brushes are clean. There. So now I have both of these in places where it overlapped. Is that paper or is that? I can't tell. No, that's not paper. So this little spot there, it overlapped, and so it left a cool little spot. So you should have a circular something visible in pencil on your paper. I'm going to go over my line with a marker. I'm going to get a good marker, but that marker wasn't good. And now we're going to start with our mandala design. Just straight lines in a pattern. So I'm going to start with a circle, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to add, maybe we'll do 2 circles together, and in here I'm going to do dots to be like the middle of it. And then, oh, is there tissue there? Oh, there is tissue here. Let me make sure all the tissue's gone. I don't want any tissue on here. And now I'm going to go with these little bumpy shapes. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to put my mandala pattern. I'm going to do this in speed it up.